Hi nerds, I'm Martha, aka Read by a Redhead, and today I'm going to be doing a makeup look review of Loveless by Alice Oseman. So this is the most recent novel by Alice Oseman, and the way I'm going to be doing my reviews is chatting to you about my feelings in the book, my favourite characters, etc., while trying to do an eye look that replicates the cover in some way. Full disclaimer, I am not a makeup artist in the slightest. I do not intend on this becoming a beauty channel. I just love makeup as much as I love books and thought it would be fun to put the two of them together. So because I am not a beauty vlogger, I'm just going to crack on and do the makeup while chatting to you about Loveless. So I'm not going to be listing products or giving hints and tips because genuinely everything I do I've just learnt myself and I play around with, and it goes wrong quite a lot. So first thing, what is the book actually about? Well, Loveless follows Georgia and her two best friends Pip and Jason as they finish sixth form and are heading off to Durham University in the northeast of England for university. Although the move to university is of course a major part of the book, the main plot follows Georgia's self-exploration into her own sexuality. She has always been a huge romance lover. She loves the genre, she loves the idea of romance, but she has started to realise that she doesn't really get crushes. She gets people who she can admire, they are attractive, but that's as far as she goes. And the novel basically deals with Georgia learning what asexuality and aromanticism are and how they apply to her. With Loveless, I knew I was probably going to love it. Alice Oseman is one of my all-time favourite authors, so there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to enjoy it. But what really surprised me was how much I loved it. It truly is Alice Oseman's best novel yet. It is up there with her Heartstopper graphic novels, which I adore and could not love more. And I think the main reason the book is so good and so strong is, aside from Georgia, it has one of the best casts of characters I think ever existed in a contemporary novel. Fully believe that. I'm not exaggerating. I think the dynamic between Georgia and her two childhood friends, Pip and Jason, is wonderful. I think it's great that you see how close they are at the beginning and how they remain close, but university does change that, because university is a massive life change, and especially because Pip and Jason end up in a different college to Georgia. So they're living separately from her. They have got slightly different social circles through their colleges and societies, and Georgia feels a bit left out. And that's one of my other favourite things about the novel, is the honesty surrounding university, because it is a wonderful time. I loved university, but I also hated it, and especially seeing Georgia in her very first term of uni wanting to hide in her room and watch YouTube videos. That was so honest and raw, and I think very few books, especially YA books, are that honest about how that feels and about how you feel as if there's something a bit wrong with you when everyone else wants to go and party and club and all you want to do is sit in your pajamas. It really showed how that doesn't matter, that there's two different sides. So when Georgia gets there, her roommate Rooney is a big clubber. Rooney can be the one who loves to go out clubbing and getting drunk with some of her other friends, whilst Georgia wants to be the one who stays at home in her duvet tucked up, and neither of them are in the wrong. It does also explore how, with Rooney, her reasoning behind wanting to go out all the time and club may not be the healthiest, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is okay to want to do that, whilst at the same time it's okay to be a Georgia and want to hide inside and have a bit of your own company. There is nothing wrong with that at all, and I think it was really refreshing to see both sides shown so well within a book. Speaking of Rooney, she is the best. I love Georgia, there's no doubting that, but Rooney is the best character ever. She is my favourite ever Alice Oseman character. She beats Nellie from Heartstopper, which is saying a lot, but she is wonderful and honest, and if I am brutally honest, I love her so much because she reminds me of myself. So when we meet Rooney, we discover that we don't discover, we believe she has a crush on Pip. It's pretty obvious that they're flirty and their hate each other banter is blatantly them both fancying each other. But at the same time, Rooney is going out a lot and is having sex with many different men. And I really enjoyed early on in the novel Rooney kind of explaining to Georgia that for her, sex isn't about the emotions, it's about sex. That's what she does it for. She does it for the act itself. And that meant that for her, casual sex wasn't disregarding people's emotions, it was just going through the motions of sex. And I really enjoyed that. I think it's so rare to see casual sex portrayed in that way. And as the novel progresses, we learn that the reason Rooney so closely guards her emotions and is so happy to be so open with sex and everything is that she's had quite a traumatic relationship in the past. She had an ex who very much messed with her head a bit and ruined emotional relationships for her. And the novel shows how dealing with that sort of relationship and dealing with the effects it has on you can take a lot of time. And that, for me, is what identified Rooney with myself so closely. I have an awful ex who very much messed my head up for a bit, and I very much pulled a Rooney at the beginning of uni. And I love how the book showed that, yes, it was a coping mechanism, but it wasn't necessarily the healthiest. But it never judged Rooney for it. You never felt like she was in the wrong for how she was behaving. You just felt like she needed some guidance and some help to get herself through it. Speaking of guidance and help, I could not talk about George's sexuality discovery without mentioning Sunil. He is a precious little baby, and basically Sunil is George's college parent. He is non-binary, but his pronouns are he/they, so it doesn't matter in this context which one you refer to him as. But he's also the president of Pride Sock, and Georgia, after a quite traumatic evening, accidentally stumbles upon Sunil and ends up joining him at a Pride Sock event and helping him set up and stays along. And in that evening is when she first hears the term asexuality. And Sunil, sitting on the side of a pavement with her, explains to her what it means and how it means that for him, he gets romantic attraction. He is homoromantic, so he is gay, but he does not feel any sexual attraction. And I particularly loved this conversation because it showed the different sides of asexuality. It showed that some asexuals do engage in sex for their own reasons, some do not at all, some are very much completely repulsed by it, which is very much how we see Georgia being. And also through Sunil, we saw that despite Georgia being ace and arrow, they are not always tied together. The fact that he is still a homoromantic, his best friend is aromantic but bisexual, she just doesn't feel any form of romantic attraction. And I adored getting to see both sides of that because I think it's so rare. Ace and arrow rep is rare enough, do not get me wrong. This novel stands out for doing that, and I am so happy it exists. But not only does it give that representation, it gives that variety of rep. which I think is so necessary, especially for younger readers, because they may be more confused. They may feel romantic attraction but not sexual. They may feel sexual but not romantic. And this novel shows you that there is no right or wrong. They all exist. There's many different variations. It's why it's a spectrum. And I really loved that creative dynamic within it. The other thing that I completely love about this novel is the setting. So the novel is set all pretty much exclusively at Durham University, but within that it is the city of Durham. And for me, the city of Durham is where I spent 7 years of my life at school. So I knew the city really well. I spent most of the book messaging my friend who actually went to Durham University, being like, oh, they're here now. Oh, they're here. Like, there's a joke quite early on about Georgia being like, I have no idea what a Vennels is. Why is everybody talking about Vennels? And the minute I read that, I just burst out laughing because I was like, I know Vennels. They do great cake. And actually, on that note, me and my friend have decided that at some point we're going to do a full Loveless tour of Durham, because there is a cute little pancake cafe where Georgia goes with Jason, and I know exactly which pancake cafe it is. It's adorable, and their pancakes are amazing. Like, some of the best I have ever had. So that is something fun that we want to do, and hopefully, if we can do it in the near future, I will video it and have it out for you guys, because I think it'd be really interesting for people who haven't visited Durham to see the different places that are shown within the novel. Also, these dots I'm adding because there's tiny dots going up within the hearts there, and drawing hearts on your eyelid is really difficult, so I'm doing dots first. My favourite part in the novel is the scene where we think Rooney has disappeared and Georgia is panicking and hunting everywhere for her, and then finds her cell phone, well, mobile phone. I don't know why I went American then. A bit confused. But she finds her mobile phone on a bridge, and just as she begins to panic, Rooney turns up with this bouquet of flowers, looking flustered, confused as anything as to why Georgia's there. And it unfolds into the most beautiful expression of love that I think I have ever read in a book. In fact, my favourite quote, well, it's a couple of lines. So they're talking about how much Rooney cares about Georgia and how it doesn't matter that it's platonic love. And Georgia basically says, like, she's never going to have that one special person. And Rooney's like, well, can you let me be that person? And Georgia's like, well, that's not how it works. People always put romance over friendships. And Rooney replies with, says who? The heteronormative rule book. Fuck that, Georgia. Fuck that. And I adore that bit, because I think it really shows how that is the rule book. That's the rule book we've been taught. That hurt. That's the rule book we've been taught. It's the rule book society teaches us. We learn from a very young age that you get into a monogamous romantic relationship with one other person, and that's your special person. And I really loved this moment between Rooney and Georgia, because it showed that that's bullshit. None of us follow those rules anymore. Your special person can be your best friend. You know what? Your special person can be your cat. No judgment here. But I really adored that, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget reading that relationship discussion, because it meant so much to me and it really made me happy. So on the back of the book we have tiny little keyboard pieces that spell out Loveless, but we've also got the enter sign and the tiny little question mark, which is really adorable. I am not sure whether I can draw these on my face, but we'll give it a go.
I started getting very distracted and took way too long to draw a square on my face.
This is the finished makeup look. I have my little question mark on this side and my couple of hearts here. We're going to ignore how uneven and messy this is. We're going to pretend that's not there, okay? So to complete my review of Loveless, as you can probably guess from how much I have gushed about how amazing it is in this video, this was an absolute 5 of 5 stars read for me. There's nothing that I want to change about it. There is nothing I think could be improved. All I want is more. Please, Alice, I'll sell my soul to you. I know it's questionable whether redheads have one, but if I do, you can have it just to give me more of these guys, especially in their house. Like, I want to know how moving into a house together goes. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. I am very, very new to this, but I'm really enjoying myself. And if you've enjoyed this review of Loveless, please subscribe, like, come comment down below and tell me if you loved it as much as I did. And if not, why? Because I kind of think it's a perfect book. But regardless, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in a new video.